Welcome to Ag PhD. I'm Brian Hefty.
And I'm Darren Hefty. Thanks for joining us today. You know, when it comes to weed control, like in this field, for example, it's corn this year. We did the best job we could because next year it's going to be soybeans, and there's small-seeded broadleaves, especially on fields like this one. And we may switch up to Liberty Link soybeans. We're going to talk about the benefits of the Liberty Link soybean program, compare that to other programs you may be using now.
Well, with the first of the year approaching, this is the prime prepay season for farmers. We're going to talk today about the benefits and some of the risks that go along with prepaying for any of your inputs.
Well, one weed that you need to take seriously is our weed of the week. It's very difficult to control. We've got hardly any options at all. But before I totally discourage you, I'll just encourage you by saying just watch later on in the show. We'll show you how to stop it on your farm. But first, here's this week's Farm Basics.
Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk a little about our Ag PhD Winter Agronomy Workshops. This is something Darren and I have been doing for many years, and the reason why we do this is to talk about all the different things that are going on in production agriculture, crop production especially, and how a farmer can do well in spite of low commodity prices.
Well, I think 2015 is the year I am the most excited about doing any of these workshops around the country because the economics have completely changed. You know, every year we tell farmers you have to run the return on investment again on everything you do on the farm because what paid last year might not pay as much this year. Now, there may be some practice that really helps us increase yield at $7 corn, but at $3 corn, we can't afford to do it anymore. So we're going to go through a number of those things, whether it's weed control, insects, diseases, picking the right hybrids, trait packages. I mean, there's so many things that you have to look at in terms of dollars and cents. Does it work for my farm? Then let's talk about, once we find those things, what can we do to get maximum yields and profitability this year?
So it doesn't matter where we're doing the agronomy workshop, we're absolutely going to be talking a lot about return on investment. But we do vary things up depending on the area, whether we talk about corn or soybeans or wheat or a number of other crops, because obviously every area is a little bit different and the challenges are a little bit different. Certainly the weeds are different, diseases, bugs, all those things. So we'll get into all of that in the local area. We do have a number of these agronomy workshops throughout the country, and the reason why we're talking to you about them today is we really encourage you to come. If nothing else, you're going to get a free agronomy book that we've put together for you. Last year's was, I think, 155 pages. Undoubtedly, this year's will be even bigger. The other thing is you're going to see some of the top farmers in the country there. Our average workshop last winter, we had between 300 and 400 farmers there, and it's a good chance that you have to visit with farmers throughout the day.
One other thing that's really unique about our agronomy workshops is we finish the day off by doing the Ag PhD radio program. So if you come to the workshops, you can stay, watch us do the radio show live, and interact with us because we take questions right from the audience and answer them on the air as part of our show. That's pretty fun. The other thing about our agronomy workshops that really surprises people is everything's free. So not only will you get this great agronomy manual Brian is talking about and all the information during the day, you also get a great meal too and get to meet all these people that we've been talking about.
The only thing that we ask is that you pre-register for our workshops just so we are able to have enough food for everyone, enough seats for everyone, and enough books. We've run into some situations before where we have a lot more people that show up at the last minute. If that happens to you, that's fine. It's not that we're going to turn you away or anything else, but we really would encourage you, please pre-register, and you can just go to the Ag PhD website to do that.
Well, I hope you can make it to one of the Ag PhD agronomy workshops around the country this winter. I'm sure you'll find the time well worthwhile. One of the things that we will discuss at those workshops is how to stop our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?
What's next in weed control technology? Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans will provide tolerance to dicamba and glyphosate and will be built on the Genuity Roundup Ready to Yield trait. See them in action at extendfollowafield.com.
We know that the future is liquid. That's how agriculture liquid fertilizer creates the highest quality products on the market. Because we're committed to finding the best raw materials at the best price possible and getting them from us to you in the most sustainable, responsible ways possible. Ag Agroculture Liquid Fertilizers, helping you grow the future.
My data is mine, not mined.
Mine to share,
mine to keep.
It's mine when I want it.
mine where I want it.
And only mine.
My data is mine to analyze.
Mine to put to work.
Mine to control.
It's mine.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
This year's projected U.S. soybean yield will lose over $500 million per point in shrink. Eliminate shrink in your bin. Store grain without lowering moisture content with the AgriDry Bullseye Temperature and Moisture Controller. The Bullseye monitors air temperature and relative humidity, allowing your fans to utilize the weather's natural condition to maintain your grain at market moisture. Fan run times drastically decrease along with the cost of over-drying. Eliminate shrink today. Call now.
For lower cost, higher production, Mandaco Agri leads with versatility unmatched. Twister is the vertical tillage unit for no-till as well as conventional tillage. Twister's ease of maintenance is forgiving in rocks and has contour conformity equaling zero downtime. Our hydraulically adjusted coulter angles make residue management easier, less costly. Spring or fall, the Mandaco Twister vertical tillage unit is the new leader. See your Mandaco Agri dealer. Visit northcountrymarketing.biz or call.
A proven herbicide for decades, dicamba can provide burn-down residual control of tough and resistant weeds for up to 14 days. That's another reason why farmers will use dicamba for years to come. Brought to you by Roundup Ready Plus Weed Management Solutions.
Over the last few years, with the emergence of all these Roundup-resistant weeds around the country, many farmers have turned to Liberty Link soybeans. Today we want to talk about whether or not that's a viable option, and if you are going to plant Liberty Link soybeans, how you should manage those differently than Roundup beans on your farm.
You know, I think this is interesting too, Brian, because I talked to some farmers that say, I really didn't want to go Liberty Link soybeans, but I'm going to have to go that way. And I said, well, what do you mean? You got resistant weeds out there or what? Well, no, I was trying to hold out for the Extend or the Enlist beans, and they just don't get labeled. And Liberty Link beans are out there right now, and nothing else is working, so I'm gonna go that way. And then they get into using Liberty, and it really works for them. You know, I think people got a bad taste in their mouth from Liberty way back, a long time ago when it first came out, because we were trying to get by with such low rates, and we were trying to expect that product to work just like Roundup. It's not like Roundup at all. Liberty is probably the second best herbicide that's ever come out, but it's just not the first best. Roundup was the first best. Now we've got Liberty. Liberty doesn't get down in the root system like Roundup does, so it doesn't kill those perennial weeds, root and all, like Roundup can. Outside of that, Liberty's a pretty nice herbicide, especially on these broadleaf weeds.
Well, yes, it's just that you've got to have those weeds relatively small. And actually, that's now kind of what we're seeing with Roundup too. The weeds have to be small. If they're 2 to 4 inches, I feel pretty confident out there with Liberty. But if I'm after 2 to 4 foot tall weeds, it's probably not going to work very well. Here's the other thing. With Liberty, you're not going to go out there 6 times during the summer. You're going to have 2 shots at it, that's it, okay? Then you're going to bump up to, hey, I've used the maximum label rate for a growing season. So if I can only spray twice, unlike the 3 times many farmers were going with Roundup, that means I have to use at least 1 pre-emerge herbicide, if not more. We still like the 3 pre-herbicide approach. We think that's the most economical for your farm. I'd rather do that.
Any soybean trait package.
Right.
We're going to say the same thing when Enlist comes out, when Extend comes out, whether you're using conventional soybeans, if you're in continuous soybeans, if you're in first-year soybeans. The 3 pre-program is the best way to go. It sets you up for success in your soybean crop because you can wipe out about 99% of the weeds that you're going to see out in the field before they even come up.
So whether you're using 1, 2, or 3 pre-emerge herbicides, you've got to get pre's on there immediately, early. If you don't do that, then you're going to struggle with Liberty weed control just like you're struggling with Roundup weed control today. So we just advise you make sure you get a pre on, then follow with Liberty relatively early when the weeds are small. Then you've got 1 more shot. That's it. So this is where we do run into some problems with Liberty. If guys start using it just like Roundup, I'm going to spray 3 weeks after I planted, then I'm going to spray 4 weeks after that. Well, you've got a lot of summertime left. So you've got to kind of hold back that Liberty so you can spray the last shot maybe just a little bit later. That means I need a really, really good pre-emerge herbicide program.
All right, well, one of the big benefits and one of the big changes with the Liberty program this year is that they have rebates now, tie-in rebates with the Authority premixes of pre-herbicides. So you could use something like Authority MT MTZ, which is one of my favorite pre-emerge products, where you're getting 2 sites of action. Then combine that in with the Treflan, Sonland, or Prowl. You've got your 3 sites of action pre, and they've got a pretty nice rebate program to tie in with the Liberty Link seed.
So the rebates tied with Liberty are $3 for the pre's, and then you could also use Anthem early post and get a $2 an acre rebate. So the big thing is, Bayer understands this too. They want you to get soil residual herbicides out there besides just Liberty.
One other fear that many people have switching from one trait package to another is, hey, I got to plant totally different varieties than what I have been planting. I certainly understand that argument, and when we look at the Liberty Link varieties compared to Roundup Ready to Yield or conventional varieties, it's a toss-up as far as which ones are going to yield better. There are some Roundup 2s that are better than others. There's some Liberty varieties that are better than others. I look at varieties all across the country. I'm selecting Roundup Ready to Yield varieties and Liberty varieties for guys to plant easily from the group 00s up into the group 5s. Personally, looking at those plots, and I don't really see a whole lot of difference in terms of performance. Now, there may be some defensive traits that you can get in one package versus another. That's understandable. Yeah, if you really like one thing that is only available in one trait package or the other in your area, I get that. You may say, you know, I'm going to pick this one because it has root knot nematode resistance, or because it handles stem canker better than another variety. But overall, the varieties are good in the Liberty Link system. You can feel confident you can get maximum yield there too.
Here are a couple last things I'd mention. First of all, Liberty as the herbicide can freeze, so you have to be a little bit careful where you're storing that over the winter time if you're in the north like we are, whereas Roundup, we don't have to worry about that. Not a big deal, but still something you at least need to be aware of. And I guess the other thing is just to understand the Liberty soybeans typically are going to be less expensive than the Roundup soybeans, but Liberty herbicide costs more than Roundup, so the cost in total of each system is really pretty similar.
Talking to an executive in the seed and trade industry, and he said, you know, we're going to see a lot of stacked traits coming very soon in soybeans. As soon as Extend and Enlist get labeled, we're going to see HPPDs involved and other chemistries as well. And we'll also see Liberty get stacked with all these different trait packages, maybe as early as 2020. We'll see how that all works out. But the intention of most major trait providers is to stack Liberty in there as well. They see Liberty as a great herbicide that adds another shot of something different onto those tough Roundup resistant weeds.
Well, Liberty does work well, but you know what? The Roundup system still works well too if it's managed appropriately. So either way you go, we think you've got lots of good options. And it may take those good options to control our Weed of the Week. We'll tell you how to stop it on your farm coming up later in the show.
A farmer's attention to detail is what makes the difference. You take the time for service management because you know how vital it is to your operation. You service your field like everything else because soil sampling makes all the difference and gets the results you want. Download the app Soil Test Pro and start grid sampling today. Keep your farm growing strong. The more you test, the more you know.
Some prefer to invest in fields halfway around the world, in short-term solutions to long-term challenges. At Poet, we're investing in the fields we have right here at home, cultivating communities and growing the local economy, creating new local jobs while we create worldwide energy solutions, helping family farms grow even as they fuel the world, because we know that investing in a community can pay global dividends. See the world differently with Poet.
The world of farming is changing. Titan Machinery and Case IH are here to make sure you're ready. The demands on agriculture keep growing. The challenge for producers is to continue to keep pace. To be successful, you'll need equipment that can get the most out of every inch of land, innovations that help you work faster, and advice from people who know your field as well as they know your equipment. Don't get left behind. Be ready with Case IH and Titan Machinery. Better solutions.
Looking to maximize yield? Quick Roots is a microbial seed inoculant that allows the plant root to explore a greater volume of soil, the key to higher yields. Quick Roots continues to generate yield response on corn, soybeans, wheat, and more. Quick Roots is applied to the seed so the live microorganisms go right to work, enhancing seedling vigor, increasing the uptake of certain nutrients, including NPK, and expanding root volume. Maximize yield on your farm this season. Call TJ Technologies or your local dealer and get your Quick Roots today.
Being a farmer means securing your land and livelihood for the future. Harvest solutions from Capello USA have the grit to get you there. Our product lines for corn, sunflowers, and forage are designed for efficiency and longevity, preventing harvest loss while minimizing maintenance and downtime. To do everything you can to advance your farmland to the next generation, call us at 855-CAPELLO or visit us at capellousa.com. Capello USA, Italian craftsmanship, American grit.
One of the most important things you can do on the farm is work hard every day if you're going to make more money. But going back to something our dad always used to tell us too, you gotta work really hard, but you also have to be able to run the pencil well and make money with your brain besides just your muscle every day.
Well, that's good. The brain is probably the most important muscle you got, Brian. And when we think about it, you're going to buy crop inputs, right? So when can you get the best deal? That's what we have to look at. And prepaying almost always offers you the best deal of the year. The question is, what are the downside risks of prepaying early?
So there's fertilizer, there's seed, and there's crop protection products. So let's talk about each one of those things separately. Let's start with the fertilizer.
There are some fertilizer dealers that load it up on high-priced fertilizer in the late summer, early fall, only to see prices drop. And if they've got to write off big losses on the fertilizer side, that's where we saw large co-ops
but you know what?
Businesses going under.
Here's the big difference. This time they didn't load up to that degree. They weren't that dumb. I mean, they learned the last time, hey, I can't be loading up when things are high. And by the way, things didn't get as high this time as what they did 6 years ago. I'm not that worried that we're going to see anybody going bankrupt there, but that's certainly possible. That's always your biggest risk.
That's your risk with prepay, is you have to be very confident that whoever you're prepaying with and whatever products you're prepaying for, that dealer is still going to be in business when you want to get your stuff. Otherwise, if you're going to prepay, then take your product early and you don't have the risk.
Right, so that's certainly what you could do with fertilizer. We have fertilizer storage ability on our farm. You probably have some on yours, but you may not have enough for everything, so that does become a challenge. But let's talk more about, are fertilizer prices actually going to be cheaper in the spring? In the late spring, probably. But here's the issue in the early spring. We've got all these train and logistics issues all around the country. It's going to be hard to get enough fertilizer into the heart of the Corn Belt to satisfy even 75% of the normal need, which is about where we think overall fertilizing is going to end up at. So we know fertilizer use is going to go down, but even so, it's going to be hard to get in the early spring because of logistics issues. So is fertilizer really going to go down in March? I don't think so. It might go down a little bit, but I don't think there's any big time decrease coming there. I think it's late in the season. So if I was prepaying, what I would do, first of all, I'd ask about price protection. Secondly, I would just buy what I need to have real early in the spring, and I would wait, because the odds are, if commodity prices stay down, and we don't know, but if they stay down, your summer fertilizer prices and next fall's fertilizer prices are absolutely going to be less than they are today. But we just don't know what's going to happen with everything across the board.
Well, we certainly don't, but we do know that seed is going to be planted early next year, so you got a limited time to make that seed decision, and the seed one is the one that I thought would be the most fun to talk about today, Brian, because a lot of guys think, man, seed corn prices have to come down. I can't pencil corn making me money right now, especially in the fringe areas of the Corn Belt. Well, if seed corn prices are coming down, how do I do it? And some guys have said, well, I'm going to take away all the traits, I'm going to go to conventional corn, or I'm going to switch to whatever company will sell me seed the cheapest. You just have to look at, all right, the premium companies that are getting the best yields right now are delivering the best yields for your farm. If you say, hey, they're $20 higher, they're $50 higher, they're $100 a bag higher than the cheapest seed I can get, is it worth the difference?
Okay, we're going to have some different groups here that are going to feel totally differently about this. First of all, guys that own ground versus guys that are renting ground. If you own the land, chances are you're still going for big time yield. You're going to make money that way. The other thing is guys that have good basis and guys that have poor basis. If I'm talking $3 corn versus $4 corn, if it's $2.50 versus $3.50, I can afford to pay a lot more because my return on investment looks a lot better when I'm investing an extra $50 or $100 a bag in the best genetics, the best traits. Look at return on investment again. Is that trait paying for what you're getting on your farm? All we're trying to say here is we don't have any issue if you want to cut your seed costs somehow, some way, but don't forget about that return on investment, because if you sacrifice 20 bushels on your corn or 10 bushels on your beans, then you didn't make any money. You actually went behind by saving some money up front. All right, let's get to the last arena here, crop protection products. Are they going down? Is this a good time to prepay?
Well, with crop protection products, they didn't have this huge run up in price like fertilizer and seed had over the last 10 years, crop protection products have pretty much been about the same price as they used to be. So when we look at it, we just have to think about it this way. Weed control is absolutely critical. If I don't have great weed control in my fields, there's no way I'm going to get maximum yields. The same with insect problems and disease issues.
So in summary, with all this stuff, what we're trying to say here is there is tremendous advantage to prepaying. You can save a lot of money on your farm. You can save on the tax side, but you just have to try to manage the risks. And right now, when you're still sitting with the cash in your bank account, you're in control. As soon as you write the check out, you're not in control anymore. So make sure this year of all years that you're having the conversations. Hey, how about if I need to switch products? Do I get interest on my money if I don't need all this product that I'm prepaying for? What happens if some of the prices go down? You got to look at all these things, try to get as much of that in writing as you can up front, and work with someone you can trust.
Well, you're going to need some advice if it comes to controlling our weed of the week. We'll show you how to stop it coming up next.
The Weed of the Week is sponsored by the Enlist Weed Control System from Dow AgroSciences, a new herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate.
Farming isn't just in the land, it's in you. Take control of weeds like never before. Enlist builds on the Roundup Ready system, combining proven control of a new 2,4-D and glyphosate in Enlist Duo herbicide. Protect what matters without changing the way you farm. Talk to your seed or crop protection supplier today.
Our weed of the week is a winter annual. It's jointed goatgrass.
Well, it's a very difficult one to control, especially in continuous cereal production. When we look at jointed goatgrass, the big things are to identify it. Normally you'll see some hairs up the sides of the leaf, especially down towards the base of the leaf. The other thing that I'll hear many farmers say is when they dig it up, they'll look for that spikelet on the root. That tells them it's jointed goatgrass and not something else.
Usually when we're talking about wheat and there's a grass in my wheat, we would advise you to put prepare down. Probably use a low rate, doesn't cost very much money or anything, $4 or $5 an acre, and you can get suppression that way. You're not going to get a whole lot of suppression on jointed goatgrass, maybe a little bit though out of prepare. Your best bet is to go post-emerge using Beyond in clear field wheat. And I know that means you have to use clear field wheat, but there's really nothing else that's great. And for that matter, even Beyond isn't 100%, but at least it's your best option.
So before we leave Beyond, I just want to make another couple of comments. When we look at the clear field wheat varieties, if you've got what many in the industry will say is 2-gene Clearfield varieties, or both parents were Clearfield varieties, then you can use MSO as your adjuvant package with Beyond. We get much better activity on jointed goatgrass if we can use MSO. However, if you've got a single gene or just one of the two parents was a Clearfield variety, now you can't get away with quite as much, so you can't use the MSO, and typically guys will switch to a non-ionic surfactant. In those cases, we can still do okay on jointed goatgrass, just not great like we could with MSO.
The other post-emerge option in conventional wheat would be Osprey or something that contains that. Also, going back to the pre-emerge side, we do have some new options now, Zidua and Varo, that some people are talking about. We haven't seen those in the field. I don't know how good those are going to be on jointed goatgrass. I wouldn't expect a whole lot. And
well,
we have had some people...
Not out of the Zidua, I wouldn't think, because the Group 15s, we just haven't had good luck in corn pre-emerge.
Otherwise, some people have used Olympus. You know, if you're using Prepare or Olympus, neither one of them is going to be perfect. We really like the Beyond option in Clearfield wheat. We think that's the best for jointed goatgrass.
In corn, post-emerge Roundup is your option. In soybeans, it's the same thing. You can use those pre's, Treflan, Sonalan, or Prowl, but Roundup or Liberty post-emerge is needed.
Well, that's it for our Weed of the Week, jointed goatgrass. But stay tuned, Iron Talk is coming up next.
Iron Talk is brought to you by Case IH.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
Looking to boost soybean yields this year? Improving your fertility program is the #1 key to getting bigger soybean yields, but where should you place that plant food? I'll share some ideas during today's Iron Talk. With corn, one of the quickest and easiest ways to boost a fertility program is by putting some fertilizer in the furrow at planting time. With soybeans, you just can't do a whole lot of that. Sure, you can put a gallon or two in furrow depending on soil types and other factors. However, to really fertilize soybeans, you need to plan ahead exactly where you're going to place those nutrients. Here are 3 times during the season where you should have equipment set up to handle soybean fertility. First of all, planting time. Yes, I just said you can't put too much in furrow, but don't forget about using a 2x2 placement or something that would put some soil in between the seed and the fertility. This is going to be very important for corn as well over the next few years. You can safely put a lot more fertilizer just off to the side if you're set up to do it at least 2x2 away. Second, foliar application. If you have a sprayer, you can put certain liquid fertilizers right in with your fungicide, insecticide, or herbicide applications. Check with your agronomist in advance, though, to see what growth stage would be the best time to do the foliar and which other treatments you can and cannot mix with. Third, deep banding. Now, we've seen good results deep banding fertilizer in the fall ahead of soybeans. That's what we shoot for on our farm. But you could potentially do this in the spring as well. But soil conditions will often favor the fall applications. Look, you can boost your soybean yields this year, but getting set up to apply the plant food that you'll need should be happening right now. That's all for today's Iron Talk, and now, back to the show. It's easy to stay busy on your farm over the winter, hauling grain, getting ready for next spring, or a host of other jobs that always seem pressing. However, if you want to make 2015 your best year ever, it's important to invest some of your time learning. I invite you to spend at least one day attending a free Ag PhD workshop. We have a new format, new information, and more tips to help you improve your yield and, most importantly, your profits. Go to agphd.com and register today.
H&R AgriPower, your Case IH dealer, has the power to get you more equipment. H&R has the best selection, and you can get the equipment that is right for your farm. More technology. H&R AgriPower, the precision farming experts, deliver accuracy within 1 inch 95% of the time. More parts inventory. H&R AgriPower has the area's largest parts inventory, so chances are we have the part you need in stock. H&R AgriPower, your Case IH dealer, the power to get you more.
I've been involved in developing new technologies in agriculture for over 3 decades. The changing times demanded that we develop new and better equipment. Dry powder applications on seed can only be highly successful if they can be easily, effectively, and accurately applied to the target. That's where our company, Changing Times and CT Applicators, come into the picture. The innovative CT Applicators are designed to give you the most accurate application of products such as talc, soybean inoculants, or other dry products. Remember, CT Applicators for the changing times.
Wake up, breakfast is served. Your roots crave P. Most of your applied P gets tied up in the soil, a natural phenomenon known as phosphorus fixation. Fix the problem with Avail Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer. Avail makes more P available to your roots, here, here, and here. Increasing P availability can lead to increased P uptake in the plant. That's more P, and more P. More phosphorus for your crop can mean more results in your bin. An average of 9.6 bushels per acre of corn. Breakfast is served. Supercharge your P with Avail.
A farmer's attention to detail is what makes the difference. You take the time for service management because you know how vital it is to your operation. You service your field like everything else because soil sampling makes all the difference and gets the results you want. Download the app Soil Test Pro and start grid sampling today. Keep your farm growing strong. The more you test, the more you know.
Closed captioning for Ag PhD is sponsored by Norwood Sales.
On your farm, you need speed and year-round effectiveness in your tillage program. The Quick Till from Norwood Sales allows you to move quickly through your fields, maximizing time and improving yield. Constructed of heavy-duty materials, the Quick Till is ideal for both spring and fall applications, from preparing a healthy seedbed early in the season to breaking up corn residue after harvest. For more information about how a Quick Till can improve fields on your farm, call Norwood Sales today.
We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and if you're looking for more agronomic information, we invite you to tune in to SiriusXM Channel 80, that's the rural radio channel, for the live Ag PhD radio show each weekday at 2 p.m. Central.
And don't miss the next Ag PhD television program, where we'll have another Weed of the Week, Farm Basics Iron Talk, and a whole lot more. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for watching Ag PhD.
Farmers focus on controlling weeds in their fields in order to produce more food. Abundant food supplies help Americans spend less of their income on food than nearly any other country in the world. To learn how farmers do it, visit the Responsible Nutrient Management Foundation at rnmf.org.